the wheel geometry itself is not rotating. You won't see any movement of the wheels, but there's a rotational velocity applied to them. So in order to do that, specify 3 STL files in this case. I mean, you can have as many STL files as you want generally, but in this case we've got the car body as one, front wheel, the front wheels as another, and the rear wheels as another. So there are 3 STL files. When you go to the input file, now that you can have multiple STL files, you need to specify them as a list. So specify the number of STL files at the top, and then you list them vertically. So we've got the car body, front wheel, and the rear wheel. And then we specify the format, which in this case is ASCII. So if we go down to the bottom of the input file, there's some new features here, such as a refinement box, where you can specify a refinement region behind the car. You can select the level, the refinement level of that. And underneath that, we've got this Z-lim, which limits the X range of the domain. So it allows you to clip the octree if you want to do like a thin slice of something. That's switched off at the moment. And then finally, we've got this wheel rotation parameter. So I'll switch that on. That's set to 1. And then we need to specify which geometries are the wheel geometries. So I've specified 2 and 3 because in the list here there are items 2 and 3 in the STL list. After that, you specify a rotational velocity. So I've specified 90 here. That is your omega value, where V equals R omega. So depending on the radius, the outer radius of the wheels, you specify omega accordingly, so you get a velocity that's equivalent to your free stream velocity. And then underneath that, you need to specify, carefully specify the center coordinate of the front wheels and then the rear wheels in that order. So these parameters are front wheel X coordinate, front wheel Y coordinate, rear wheel X coordinate, rear wheel Y coordinate. It doesn't matter about the X, it doesn't matter about the Z coordinates for this. It just needs to know the X and Y coordinates of the front wheels and the rear wheels. And because it uses that to calculate at each point on the wheel geometry to calculate what the velocity should be there, because obviously the velocity increases as the radius increases. So having set that up properly, run a test case. So I've set this to 100 iterations, saving after 100. Sequential files off. Global time stepping, 3D smoothing. I should be able to run that. Generating the mesh. About 1 million cells. Calculating neighbours. So yeah, it's just under 1 million cells, live cells. And it's started iterating. See, the total number of octree cells is about 1.5 million. The number of leaf cells is 1.3 million. And then of that, the number of live cells is just less than 1 million. I mean, we could check this just by running for 10 iterations, but I left it to run for 100. So that's written a binary VTK file now. So we can load that into PowerView. This file. So at this stage, I won't have a valid flow solution, but I can at least see the rotational component on the wheels to check that's working properly. To do that, the easiest way is to generate a distance field. So I need to do cell data to point data first of all on the solution. Then I can specify a contour surface, and I want to select distance, the distance field, and set that to 0. So that's going to our 0 surface, which should be pretty much coincident with the STL geometry. Now you can see if I switch the wheels on or off, see that the 0 level surface is not as well defined as the actual STL geometry. That's because of the mesh resolution in this area. And if I switch off all of them, that is a relatively smooth looking 0 level surface for our geometry. Then all I need to do is to specify velocity on the surface. Now on this case, I set the surface velocity equal to 0, which is why the car is looking dark blue. So this parameter here, wall function, quite often I leave that at 1. But in this case, it's set to 0, so that gives me a 0 velocity on the car surface. And we can see the velocity on the wheels is non-zero. So that has come out at roughly, as we expected, 30 meters a second on the outside of the wheels. And if I specify some glyphs, there's a rotational component on the wheel. Not showing all of the arrows, but it's showing some of them. If I try and clip the domain a bit, and click it again, focusing on region, and then I select that's better. Select the glyphs. See, we've got a rotational velocity. Also worth checking that the arrows are going in the right direction, which I think they are for a rotating wheel. But if you want to reverse that, you can just change the value of omega to minus. So we change it to minus 90 in this case. There you have it. That's how to set up rotational velocity for wheels in UFO-CFD.